Fouts, and he's going to talk about a banking strategy that most people don't know about. So this is like entrepreneurial, it's money making, it's wealth building. It's not just trading and real estate. There's so much more to what he's about to say. And I hope that you guys will stick with us on this last hour. If you have to take your phone with you, take your iPad with you, cruise around. I want to thank everybody who did all this with us today. What a great day. Raleigh, don't go anywhere because we have to pick this thing back up in a minute.
Yeah, I know.
1 hour. Brian Fouts, how are you? Turn your screen on for me. I'm going to stop sharing.
I'm doing awesome. Awesome. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Can you hear me and see my screen?
Oh, yeah. You look great. Absolutely. We need to get you a hat and some glasses.
So. I need that clean backdrop. I need that clean with the American flag thing rocks.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
See your screen.
Yes. All right. Awesome. Awesome.
We're running a little bit late. So we're going to let you go ahead and take the mic, Brian. Everybody give it up for Brian Fouts.
I appreciate it. So, all right, this is going to be an interesting and unique presentation. This is how to be your own bank so that you can create income for life, fund your investments, and even more. And this is a phenomenal strategy. It is a little different, a little unique. So I'm going to dive into this. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, the elevation group and stuff, and why I absolutely love investing and financing and numbers. I also love the day trade as well. So this is going to be kind of a fit for that. And what we do here at the Elevation Group. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling. And if you guys have questions as I go through this, there's usually a lot of questions. Go ahead and use that question box. I'll try to look at it and definitely answer some questions at the end. And also, what we're going to be talking about here today is something that most people have actually heard about. But what I'm going to show you here is going to be different than what you probably heard, because I'm actually going to show you behind the scenes about how this really works and how pretty much anybody can do this. All right, so let's go ahead and get rolling in this. So, all right. So first off, I want to say kind of what you don't need to do or to do the strategy. And so you don't have to be super smart. I've done day trading, and for me, that was a lot harder than this strategy. You don't have to be connected or entrepreneurial or even have that 7-figure income either to make the strategy and how it work for you. But also, what I also want to note, though, that this is not for you. I want to make sure that we mention this. If you're looking for that magic, call it get-rich-quick scheme, those don't work. This is not that. You're not willing to put in the effort. You're not willing to take action on what I'm going to be sharing with you here today. That's the big one right there. You have to be willing to take action on this. And then also, if you reside outside the U.S. or Canada, this is typically not for you. It's a strategy for those living inside the U.S. or Canada, or if you're doing business inside the U.S. So we have a lot of people that are actually, we have people that are trading that have LLCs in the U.S. that use this strategy as well. So I want to make sure I mention that. But this is definitely for you if you're open to discovering smarter ways to grow your cash flow outside the traditional means. If you're sort of tired of Wall Street and big banks controlling your money. Now, if you're a trader, you can control your money more than obviously a Wall Street can. You can control that. But if you're tired of big banks controlling your money, if you know that to get different results, what do you have to do? Something different than everyone else. And that was a big one for me around this strategy and what we're going to be talking about, because this is definitely something different. And you want a solution to the traditional ways of investing, right? Go to work, get a job, save for the future, all that kind of stuff. All right, so what will we be sharing here? So this is pretty important. So we're going to be sharing how to convert your income or money that you're generating through any other strategy into a wealth creator that will provide you financial freedom down the road, free from market volatility. And if you heard what I just said, free from market volatility, yes, this does that. It's pretty cool. This is an alternative way to do things like going on a dream vacation without draining your savings account or going into massive debt. I'm going to show some examples of that. And then how to say no to big banks, their fees, and especially their control over your money, because we all want control of our money, right? And then how you can do something like buy a new car as an example without relying on a bank loan. So think about that. When you go and acquire a house or a car or things like that, a lot of times you have to get permission from the bank. But imagine if you're the bank, you don't have to get permission from the big banks. And then we're going to show a way to accelerate your wealth creation by earning money on the same dollar multiple times, just like the big banks do, by the way. But that one right there, if you didn't catch that, read that one again. This one is very cool. When I show you how this works, I'm actually going to draw some stuff out to show it. Now, what we'll be sharing here, these are very, very, very powerful strategies. They can change your life. They have changed my life, my family's life, and thousands of our members at the Elevation Group. But I also have to mention that the results we're going to be showing are not typical, so please don't mistake any figures that we cite here as a promise that you'll get the same results. Now, most people don't get the results because they don't take action, as you know that. So those who take action, you will get these kinds of results. So what you're about to discover is used by celebrities. It's used by presidents, politicians, not surprising there, wealthy dynasties, people like, Senator John McCain, Joe Biden, JFK, Roosevelt, Taft, Rockefeller, Rothschilds. All these people have used it. But the important thing about this strategy, how to become your own bank, is not limited to just the wealthy, right? And we're going to show you why that is not the case, because a lot of people, when they hear about this, they think that you have to be extremely wealthy to do this. We have people that have been paycheck to paycheck that have used this to escape the rat race and become free. So this is very, very powerful. So who am I? So first off, I'm Brian Fouts. That's my brother Jake there on the right. We are the owners of the Elevation Group, or EVG for short. Now, EVG is a financial education company, and we are dedicated, and this truly is my passion. I love doing this stuff. If you guys have ever followed us, you know I love this stuff. And but we teach ordinary people the investing strategies that are used by the ultra rich to create and build their wealth, but in good times or bad. And since 2010, we've been doing this. We have taught well over 50,000 members through our platforms how to invest and profit like the wealthy, regardless of what is going on in the economy. And so as an example, right now, we are bringing on advisors and wealthy experts to talk to our members about what they're doing right now and the moves they're making. And even this strategy we're going to be talking about here today. So elevation banking, that's what the strategy is called. We call it elevation banking. So I want to really touch for a few minutes here on how I discovered this and what it has done. So in 2008, as an example, we all remember that I lost a lot of stuff. I almost lost my home, lost half of my investments, and that set me on a journey because I saw that there were some people that were actually making money and building wealth during the same time I was losing money, and I want to know what they were doing. So that set me on a journey to find out how to do this, how to do things differently so it does not happen again. And guess what? This time around, it's not happening again, and I'm loving it. Our members are loving it right now. But that journey led us to elevation banking, that strategy, because it has that power to provide true financial freedom. It does have that power. And what we found out, though, this is pretty cool, though. We found out that those that knew about the strategy, that really knew how it worked, not just kind of had heard about it, but actually knew how it worked, they were actually using it. And so that's what we did. We started using it as well, and it was phenomenal. And then we started helping other people implement this in their lives as well, because that is really what my big passion is really sharing what I'm doing, what my journey is all about, and sharing it with other people. And this is one of the main things that I love to share. And so as an example, one of our members, his name's Adam, and he had discovered this strategy and put it to work. And he was living paycheck to paycheck, and I'll explain that a little bit in a little while. But he said, I can't thank EVG enough for introducing me to this strategy. I implemented this strategy and has already paid me back. The wealth building potential of this financial strategy and peace of mind that comes with it are something that everyone should experience. Now, he went from someone that was, basically paycheck to paycheck, $0 in assets, to he actually quit his job. He's now an advisor at the Elevation Group. He went from a member to an advisor, which is really cool, and now helps other people do this exact same strategy. I mean, he loved it so much, that's what he did. So it's pretty cool. And, one of the other comments that he made was that, thanks to EVG, I have contractually secured my wealth position for the future. So imagine if you had a wealth plan in place that was guaranteed. I mean, would you like to be certain about your financial future? Because that is what this can do. It has that power. And, would you like to, be certain about not losing money when the markets go down if you're in a long position, that kind of stuff? Because people that have 401ks are worried about that right now. I mean, think about that. But people that have this strategy, they're not worried at all about it. So, and then Jordan, one of our other members, he actually took action. He set up the account, which I'll talk about what that looks like, using our Rolodex, which is our board of advisors. And he's about $40,000 wealthier than he would have been otherwise. It sounds pretty good, right? So what I want to do right now, I want you to imagine some things to kind of put this in context as we move forward through this. So imagine these things. Imagine that your investments and portfolio do not go down when the economy crashes like it's doing right now. Imagine it does not go down, but it goes up in value even at the same time, right? So you do not use banks to buy cash flowing assets like a rental property. So imagine not using a bank. You use your own bank, right? Pretty cool. Imagine you can do something like, as an example, go on a vacation without worrying about credit, debt, or draining your cash account. Imagine that. And that's what my wife and I have done. That's me at Pebble Beach. We went to, I think it's Mexico, and that's a Daytona right there. We had a lot of fun doing the things, but we don't worry about, going into massive debt to do these kinds of things. Imagine, as an example, buying a new car for yourself, for your kid, whatever, and not getting a bank loan to do it. You don't have to get a bank loan to get approval. So imagine that right there. Right? And then imagine creating financial freedom by having your money work twice for you. So I want you to think about that because I'm going to show you what that looks like. And it is really, that's one of the most popular things about this strategy that our members just love to do when they've seen it working. It's incredible. So we've had some advisors sharing their strategies about this here recently with our members, and it's just a lot of fun. So we did discover how to do this the hard way. I want to share with you kind of what we did, that journey, and what it looked like. And so to do this, to learn how this all worked, my brother Jake and I, that's us right there, literally flew to the homes and offices of experts that do this stuff and learned directly from them. We cut through the chase, cut through the red tape, right, and learned exactly what they're doing. We read book after book, after probably 3 books, because there's not very many books on this strategy out there. People don't make very many books about this strategy. We actually bought some training programs and classes to learn how it worked. And we worked with successful investors. We worked with wealthy individuals who were using the strategy. That was really key right there, who were actually using it and saw how they were using it and implementing it and building wealth using this. And then, of course, we tested it out. We'd use it on ourselves in our lives. We put it in place and learned how to do it and then help others do it after that. And so we've actually had a real experience doing this and seeing the results, and it is incredible. So that is what we did to learn how this worked. Now, here's what we're going to be covering here over the next 20, 30 minutes, how the strategy works. So first off, I'm going to show you how you'll not use banks and credit cards. So how that looks. How you'll make your money work twice for you, which is incredible. That's probably my favorite part about this thing. You can tell I get excited about it. It's so cool. And then how the strategy really works. Now, this is what most people don't share about this. If you've heard about this, what I'm going to show you there is what most people don't talk about. I'm going to show you behind the scenes of how it really works. Okay. So that is what we're going to be covering. So let's dive in. So how to stop relying on banks and credit cards. Now think about this. Why is that important? Well, when you use banks and credit cards, what are you doing? You're paying interest to the banks and credit cards, right? The average American household pays about $8,000, I think, a year in interest. So would you like to have some of that back in your pocket and not in their pocket, right? Because that's building wealth, that's control, right? And then when you think about it, like 71% of all U.S. workers said they're now in debt, and 46% said that their debt is manageable. 56% have said their debt is not manageable. So eliminating debt is so powerful when it comes to building wealth because it drains you. And the true power of elevation banking is that when you are the bank, you have the same resources as the banks, which is what? Well, it's money, right? It's money. And then when you replace the banks, you have the same control as banks, and your money can grow faster and faster. I love control. I love to control my investments and my assets and my money. That's why this is so cool. So let's look at an example. So when you get a new car, let's say you want to go buy a new car as an example. What do? Well, normally you'd get a car loan through a bank or a dealership, right? As an example. That loan would come with an interest rate that would cost you thousands of dollars over time. Or maybe you'd work and save to buy that car with cash, right? Name that movie right there, one of my favorite movies of all time. But you'd work and save and pay cash to do that, which I know a lot of people that do that as well. So next, I'm going to show you what this might look like with elevation banking, but I see a question right there, Boris Jurgen. This is typically not available for those that are outside the U.S. unless you're doing business in the U.S. Okay, so I want to mention that really quickly. I saw that right there. So let's look at this when you have elevation banking in place. So you would have cash in what is called a policy. Now, I'll show you what that is in a bit. You'll find out what that means. But you would take that money out and use it to buy the car. So you take that money out. You don't need to get a credit check or bank approval. That's very important right there, right? You don't do that. You still have the cash in your elevation banking policy, and you still have the car. Not one or the other, and you did not lose out by paying interest to the bank because you are the bank. So think about that right there. You are the bank. So you have money in your bank still earning guaranteed interest, which I'll show you in a second, and you have the asset or the car or whatever it is. So that's one example. Now another one, vacation. How do you traditionally go on vacation? Well, you save and save up cash, right? Or maybe use credit cards and go into debt on them and pay them back over time. Maybe you'd save money and cut costs, stay in a cheaper hotel. I've done that. We probably all have done that, right? Try to cut corners. Maybe too many people just wait and say, I'll wait till I can afford it. Have you ever heard someone say that? Say, I'm going to wait till I can afford it. 5 years later, I'm going to wait till I can afford it. 10 years later, still saying the exact same thing. You don't want that. That sucks, right? So with elevation banking, you can go on the vacation essentially when you want. You don't have to worry about draining your savings account that you don't get back. You don't have to save and save up cash and then blow it all. And then your elevation banking will fund the strategy or fund the vacation. And you don't lose out by spending cash from your savings that you never get back. And the cool thing though is that your cash continues to grow even when you're gone on vacation, right? Pretty cool, right? That is how it works. Very incredible, very powerful. All right. So some other things that you can use elevation banking for, because this is one of the questions people say, well, what can I use this for? Well, you can pay for college education for your kids. You can become your own line of credit for maybe a business, maybe, you know, investing in assets like, you know, the stock market, right? You can buy a home or vacation home. You can use this to store emergency cash reserves. That was pretty cool. Invest in the markets as an example. All those things and more that you can do. A lot of things you can do. Now, Lance, one of our members, said this: rainy day fund is now secure and making way more interest than it would be in a lame savings account. Thanks, because he has his cash reserves in this strategy making money. So let's go ahead and illustrate what this would look like. I'm actually going to grab a digital pen here, and I'm going to show you kind of what this can look like. I'm going to use an example. Let's use an example of going on vacation, because that's something that a lot of us like to do. And then we'll show some examples of investing as well here in a little bit. So what does this look like when you go on vacation? So traditionally, what do you do on vacation? So let's look at a time frame of, let's say 3 years. Well, what would you normally do? Well, let's say you save cash. So you would save cash over time. So say over a year, and you would spend, say, $5,000, and your cash would go to zero. You do it again, and then you spend that $5,000 back down to zero. You do it again, right? Third year, you do the same thing, save up $5,000. And by the way, this is how I used to go on vacation all the time, not anymore. And you spend another $5,000. So at the end of 3 years, what have you done? Well, you spent $15,000 and you have $0 and you've gone on vacation 3 times. That's traditional. Now, the other way I've done it is I have gone into massive debt to go on vacation, not the best way. So you go into debt here, really, you go into debt and then you pay that back over time. So instead of $5,000, maybe it costs you $6,000, and you do that over time. Again, same thing, another $6,000. And so at the end of 3 years, what have you done? Well, you've spent $18,000, right? And you have $0 to show for it, but you've gone on vacation 3 times. So how does this look different with elevation banking? Now we're going to look at a time frame of 4 years instead. So 4 years. So after the first year, let's say you go on vacation right here. But here's the cool thing. Your money is going like this over time. It's growing. You go on vacation right here, here, and here. But the money in your account does not go away. So at the end of 3 years, what have you done? Well, let's say you put this $5,000 down here. At the end of 3 years, you have $17,000 in your wealth account, whatever it is, going up in value, and you've gone on vacation 3 times. So what did I just say there? You have 17 grand going up in value, earning you interest, and I'll show you what that means, and you've gone on vacation. So what would you rather have? Spent 15 grand, spent 18 grand, or have $17,000 and have gone on vacation 3 times? Which one sounds better? Well, usually people say this one down there. So that's an example of how this can work and why it is so powerful. That's just a very simple example right there. All right, let's go ahead and turn this one off. All right, let's go ahead and continue real quick here. All right, the next thing I want to cover here really quickly, take about 5 or 10 minutes on this one, is how to make your money work twice for you. Because when you see how this one works, it is really cool. Yeah, Haley says, I wouldn't mind skipping the vacation, putting the extra money in your wallet. You can do that as well. You can absolutely do that as well, and your wealth will grow even faster. That's a great point right there. I use vacation because a lot of people want to go on vacation, and I've known people that before I knew how the strategy worked, I saw these people that were always going on vacation all the time, yet they didn't really have a job. I'm like, what were they doing? They had like a business. This is what they were doing. They're using this strategy to go on vacation, and yet they were building wealth at the exact same time. So it's really cool. So how to make your money work twice for you, though. So what happens traditionally when you put your money to work in that traditional strategy? Well, maybe it's in a checking or savings account. Well, the money just sits there, right? And it waits for you to spend it, maybe. Or maybe you're making 1/4 or 0.5% or something like that, right, in the account. Or in their current situation, and I think some of the other people talked about this, the government, the feds just printed money. Well, when you print money, our dollar goes down in value. So if your cash is just sitting in a checking account, it's going down in value unless you're putting it to work for you. So that's one of the ways that people think they're saving money. Doesn't usually work that way. Maybe invest in a 401k. Well, in a 401k, you typically can't access that capital, right? It's you can't access it. You have a little bit of control over it, maybe, and you can't touch it because the IRS tells you when you can or cannot use it. You have to wait till you're 59 and a half, as an example, or pay a massive penalty and fee to take it out. So you don't really control it. You put your money into an IRA. That's a better strategy, but it's kind of similar to a 401k unless you really know what you're doing. It's kind of similar. Maybe you buy real estate that either appreciates or cash flow. Now, real estate is better. I do like real estate as a vehicle, but when you combine it with this strategy, it becomes twice as powerful, as we'll talk about here in just a moment. And then, of course, when you buy real estate, you buy it for cash flow. If it goes up in value, that's usually a bonus. But a lot of times your money is stuck inside that piece of property. You can't pull it back out without selling the property, or you have a bank loan in place as well. And then maybe your money is in a business. Maybe it's in precious metals or it's in bonds, things like that. Now, all of those things, they're working for you only once. Your money is working for you in one spot, and that usually is it. And then a lot of times you're not in control. So you're not in control of those things because, like, precious metals, you don't control the price of those things, even though I do like those as a hedge. Bonds, you don't control those kinds of things. So that's what happens when you do things traditionally. Now let's look at an example of how this looks for an investor. So remember Adam, I mentioned Adam before. Now he was living paycheck to paycheck with essentially no cash savings. Now he learned how the strategy worked, and he was like, I got to have this in my life. I'm going to make it work no matter what. And so that's exactly what he did. He put it into place. And then what he did is he used the strategy, elevation banking, to acquire real estate. Now he actually got 4 cash flowing rental properties. And I just talked to him actually last week, and he actually is now moved up to multifamily properties, which is really cool. And he has his money working twice for you. So here's how it works. He has his money in his bank, elevation banking, and inside real estate. Both places, not one or the other. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So imagine how that for you. Now, Adam, he eventually quit his job because this was going so well. He quit his job, became a full-time investor, and now is an advisor to other members in EVG to help them do the same strategy because he loves it so much, kind of like me. So, and we have many members doing the exact same thing as him, doing all this kind of stuff, investing in other assets and building wealth with this. So someone said, IUL, it's similar. Yeah, we'll show you a little bit about the more details on that here in a little bit. So once again, Adam's results. So 4 cash flowing properties. Now he has multifamilies, which I love that. That's so cool. He has a higher net worth, which everybody wants. He has that. He has a profitable side business, and I think he actually just sold that profitable side business. So how much do you think this is worth to Adam? Is it worth 10 grand? We'll add a few zeros to that. That is what this is worth to Adam, because he essentially, he has a guaranteed retirement for the future. His retirement is set, and it's a 7-figure one too. He is good to go. He is happy as a clam right now. And so his results are phenomenal. And remember, he started with basically paycheck to paycheck and just had that passion and drive to learn how this has worked, and just crushed it. So I love Adam. He's a friend of mine now. And once again, he helps other people do the exact same thing. So I want you to imagine this though. So imagine your money making guaranteed interest, guaranteed, in elevation banking, and at the exact same time, you're buying cash flowing real estate properties, or you're funding and growing a side business. Maybe you're acquiring precious metals. Maybe you're creating that online business, which right now is a great idea. Maybe you're trading the markets, right? We're all a lot of traders here, right? I do that right there as well. Maybe you're being a private lender, so I've done that, and so much more. There are literally dozens of other strategies that you can complement with this to really grow and create massive and incredible wealth. So it's incredible. I love this so much and I love sharing how this works. So, as an example, I shared Jordan's story. I mean, he used this to fund his wife's clothing business at the exact same time he was building wealth. I mean, it's pretty awesome, right? So what I want to do really quickly is show you how this works and give you an example of what it looks like with an investment, an asset that can actually create cash flow. So I'll turn my pen back on here real quick. So let's look at a traditional, person who has income. Maybe you're trading, maybe you're in the stock markets, maybe you have a job, whatever it is, you have capital. Now, some of that capital is going to go over here into a traditional vehicle. Maybe it's going to go into a 401k, right? Which is going to go up in value and down in value and up in value and down in value. Maybe it's in an IRA, maybe it's in, maybe the bank, maybe it's in the bank, right? And you're just saving capital for something else. Now, along comes, and getting some return here, of course, you want that to go up in value. You're hoping that goes up in value. But along comes an asset. Now, this asset could be, real estate. It could be a rental property. It could be in the markets. Like right now, a lot of people are taking advantage of what's happening in the volatility in the markets. But let's look at rental properties because that's a really common one. I'll use RE for that. And you say, hey, I want to acquire this property. So what do? Well, maybe you go get the money out of the bank and you move it over here. Maybe you sell part of your 401k, right? Maybe you liquidate part of the 401k and move that capital over here. So the money, which is over here, goes away and is now in the rental property, and it's spitting off cash flow, right? So now you're getting cash flow. So you've moved the money from one vehicle to another, and you have assets. That's traditionally how a lot of people view investing in things like real estate or the markets, right? So how does this look different though with elevation banking? And though this is where it's really cool. So same scenario, have money coming in, and let's say you peel that money off over to here and you put it into, and I'm going to use EB, elevation banking, and you put the capital over there. Now, when the money's in your elevation bank, guess what's happening? It's going up in value. You're getting interest. Oops, interest right there. Guaranteed, compounded for life. Okay, a guaranteed interest rate. We'll talk about that here in a moment. I'll show you what that looks like and how that works. So you're getting guaranteed interest in your own personal bank. At the exact same time, along comes that same asset, rental property. And you say, I'm going to go to my bank and I'm going to borrow some money from my own bank. I'm going to put it over here. So now that money's over here, spinning off cash flow. Here's the kicker though. The money's here. It's also still in your bank at the exact same time. Not one or the other. It is still in your bank earning you this interest right there at the exact same time you have the rental property. Your money is in two places at the exact same time. Now, really quickly, is there a loan to pay back? Yes. It's a simple interest loan. You're earning compound, paying simple. And since you are the owner of the bank, guess what it also does? It pays you dividends. Dividends. So you're getting cash flow over here as well. So it's kind of a little bonus I want to mention right there. So it's actually, you're getting growth here, you're getting cash flow here, and dividends here. Three things. Three right there, right? It's pretty awesome. That is why this is so powerful, why it's so cool, because your money is in two places at the exact same time. Now you can take, this asset here can be anything you can think of, but once again, you can do this whenever you want. So we have members right now that have liquid capital, because this is considered liquid cash, and they're waiting for opportunities to put that to work for them in this current economy right now. They're waiting for that, and because they're not losing value, their money's going up in value. That makes sense? So Haley says, you know of a bank that pays interest. Well, this is, Haley, you'll see this in a moment what this looks like. So it's different. A strategy, it's your kind of own bank strategy, but I'll show you what this looks like. So that is why people love this so much. And this is why a lot of people build incredible wealth really quickly, because they're leveraging their money in multiple places at the exact same time. So this could be day trading, it can be whatever it is. All right. Let's go and move on. So now what I want to do is I want to cover how the strategy really works, how this really looks behind the scenes, how this exists, and how it functions, because this is what a lot of people don't talk about. And I think this is very important for everybody watching this right now to understand this. All right. So first off, though, think about security and financial freedom. That's something we all want, right? We all want that in our lives. And when it comes to that, though, that that if you do the same thing as everyone else, what are you going to get? You're going to get the same results as everyone else. Maybe you're stuck in the rat race. You're trying to get out. That was me, by the way. I was definitely stuck in the rat race for a long time. I was actually in construction, which was a career that was just grinding me down to nothing. It was a brutal career. I spent a long time in that until I found out these kinds of strategies. But also what I learned is that you must stop focusing on getting paid now, because this is how everyone looks at money. How do you get paid now? Trade time for money. Get paid now. It's what corporations and the government want us to do. They want us to be good employees. The switch I had to make, though, was I had to start thinking about how to get paid for life. And elevation banking is about getting paid for life. So think about that for a second. Ask yourself, do I want to get paid now or for life? Well, I prefer both, actually, but getting paid for life is where wealth is really made. That is really what builds wealth. So let's look at that for a sec here. So first off, elevation banking is something different, but here's what's very cool. It's not new. This has been around for a long time. In fact, you'll see it's been around for longer than the 401k. That's right. This strategy has been around longer than the 401k. Yeah, some PM said, yeah, that is essentially correct. It's been used by successful investors, businesses for decades, decades, a long time. And then the cool thing, it's not controlled by Wall Street, by big banks, or the IRS. Now, the IRS does have some limits on it, but they don't control it. This is private. This is a private strategy, whereas like the markets are not, they're open. This is private, which is very cool. So at this point, you can see the elevation banking. You can see this is a very powerful strategy. It can allow you to live a fuller life. You can create financial security, cash flow, abundance. You can control your money. So by the way, controlling your money to me is so important, because so many people give up control. They blindly give their money to someone else and they hope they're going to have some, security in the future, and then they don't. And so I believe in controlling your money is so important. I talk to my members about that all the time. I hammer that one home. So powerful. So let's go ahead and dive into the details around the strategy and what this looks like. So what is elevation banking? So first off, it allows you to build cash that earns a guaranteed return. A guaranteed return, right? It allows you to access the cash whenever you want without having to use a traditional big bank or asking their permission, right? Your cash is protected from creditors and lawsuits and even court orders in most states. Imagine having that kind of protection, right? That's pretty cool. It utilizes financial institutions that have been around for well over 100 years. That's a long time, right? 100 years. These companies have been around for a long time. And by the way, I'll show you what they are here in a second, and very few new ones are ever created. They're actually, they don't create very many new ones. And then you can use this strategy for a little bit of money. I started out with about 25 or 50 bucks a month, putting this into the strategy to see how it worked. And then I went bigger from there as I saw how powerful it was. So it's not something that has to cost a lot of money up front. Now, elevation banking. So this is how it works. So elevation banking involves you putting cash into what is called a dividend-paying whole life insurance policy with a mutual insurance company. I'll explain that here in just a moment. Now, what I want to mention though, real quick, this is not about insurance. I mentioned that word there, insurance. This is not about that. This is a wealth building strategy. This is just the vehicle. So I'm explaining to you how this works. Most people don't do this, by the way. I'm explaining to you how this works. So this is a wealth building strategy, which is definitely what a lot of people don't understand about how this works. Now, here's something pretty cool though. The cash in the policy, when you put your money into this thing, it grows and earns anywhere from a 3, 4, 5, 6% annual compound interest. Guaranteed. That's pretty powerful right there. The value does not go down when the stock market crashes or big banks go under. So think about right now. I mean, back in 2008, I lost almost half my portfolio. Didn't happen this time around, right? Didn't happen at all. And I actually take the capital out and I day trade it and take even more advantage of the markets. So I'm doing things in 2 or 3 places at the exact same time. It is very cool. But here's part of the secret. You can use the cash in the policy to purchase cash flowing assets for passive income. Additional streams of income. You can actually finance expenses such as cars or vacations or even homes. You can cover unexpected expenses such as a job loss or life event. I know people that have this, they've actually done this for their business. They're doing it right now actually, and they're fine. They're financially secure. You can fund a business, which many members have done this. I've done that. You can create a bulletproof retirement income strategy. Imagine having a tax-free retirement strategy. This can do that, right? So first, your money goes into what is called to a special type of what is called a mutual insurance company. Now, these companies are some of the oldest ones, and they're extremely reliable ones in America. Now, of the top 35 of these companies, if you can believe this, the oldest one is 180 years old, and the average age of the companies is over 107 years old. I mean, personally, I think the company's been around for that long, knows what they're doing, right? And they are very conservative. They're rare. No new ones have been formed in a long time or are likely ever to be formed. These companies cannot be acquired. They're not traded on the stock market. They cannot be acquired, and they do not trade on the stock market. So they cannot be acquired, which to me is a very important aspect of this strategy. Now, there are no shareholders, and they are the most conservatively managed companies on the planet. They are very conservative. That's why they've been around for that long, as an example, right? Now, since they generate a ton of cash, they also pay large dividends. Remember, I mentioned that in that example. They pay large dividends to their owners every year because they generate so much cash. Even in a down economy, they generate cash flow. But they pay those dividends to their owners, who are people like you and me, because we are the policyholders. That's why it's so cool. Now, why life insurance? So first off, it is one of the oldest financial products in existence. It's been around a long time. There has not been a single life insurance contract default in the last 300 years in America. Quite a long time, right? During the Great Depression, as an example, more than 9,000 banks went under. 9,000 banks erased. That's incredible. What about life insurance companies at that same time? Think, this is very important right here. This is pretty cool. Only 2% of their assets were impaired in the Great Depression. Where would you rather have had your money in the Great Depression, right? The same for 2008. In 2008, only 1% of their assets were considered non-performing. And right now, in the current crash we're in right now, 2020, it's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. They're paying dividends. Their members, or their owners are still getting returns on their investment. and they have liquid cash available to invest in other assets. So imagine having that in place. All right. Now, Elevation Banking, it uses what is called permanent life insurance. Now, this is an insurance contract that is in place for your entire life. So it's in place for your entire life. It focuses on saving and growing and generating cash flow, not on insurance. This is about how to save, how to grow, and generate cash flow. That is what is so powerful about this, is because the focus is very different than what most people think it is. When these contracts are set up correctly, you maximize what is called cash value. That's what you maximize. That is what gets you that guaranteed interest. Most people don't realize that, and most advisors don't understand that either and don't set these up correctly. That's why we share this information. Now, this is done using what is called specific insurance riders. I'm not going to get into those kind of details. You don't need to know those either. The experts, they know how to use these things to set them up correctly. Now, permanent life insurance contract defaults have what is called a cash value provision inside of them. I'll cover this really quickly. When you put your money to the policies, it's called a premium. Portion goes to cash value and grows it larger. Elevation Banking focuses on growing the cash value. That's the focus. You want to get that as big as possible because that is what gets you that guaranteed return. Now, that cash value is important for another reason, and this is very, very powerful. This is the extraordinary power of the loan provision. Now, most people don't even know this exists in a lot of these policies, right? The loan provision lets you use the cash value whenever you want. Whenever you want. You are guaranteed a loan that you control. You control it. You decide how and when to pay it back, when to make the payments. Even if you want to pay it back, you make that decision. That is your decision. Pretty cool, right? You don't even need to get approved. There's no credit check, no waiting for a bank to say yes. It's pretty much instantaneous. No more paying fees to your credit union or your credit card, and it is not based on job, income, or existing debt. I know people right now that are trying to get loans for their businesses, and they're worried about their credit card debt, or they're worried about their score, their credit score. Well, with this, you don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter because it's yours. You control it. Very, very fun. All right, it gets even better though. It gets even better. All right. So when you take the cash out of your Elevation Banking policy, the cash value does not go down and it does not stop earning interest. Yes, you catch that right there? You have cash in your hands and cash in your Elevation Banking policy at the exact same time. You have your money in two places at the same time. Now, what's really cool about that is you can put your money to work in a second place. You have access for cash for a life event as an example, right? If you have a sudden loss of income, maybe a life event, you have access to capital because this is considered liquid, meaning that you don't have to sell stocks. You don't have to sell a car or a house to get access to the capital or the equity. You can use your own money, right? And so your money is still earning interest in your Elevation Banking. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing when you think about how this works, because you can grow your wealth and create financial freedom in ways that no other wealth strategy can. I mean, to be honest, try to find a 401k or an IRA that has this kind of power that lets you do this kind of stuff, right? It doesn't. Elevation Banking can work for you. It works for your spouse, grandchildren, children, business partners, you name it, right? It can work for any of them, right? All right, very cool. So some questions I get about this. So some questions. Don't I need a lot of money to do this? Not true at all. You don't need a lot of money. Now, many of our members start off with just $25 or $100 a month and they grow from there. That's how I did it. It's how Adam did it as well. And I still have these policies in place. I have the small ones in place and I can use them for things like Christmas. It's kind of cool because I can go and use that for that while I'm still building wealth and get, a TV or something or stuff for my kids or all that kind of stuff for Christmas. So we always do that just to make sure that we're still using it. And then we actually teach our members how they can use existing income, you can redirect some of it so you're not out of pocket or working more money or working more hours for more money. And then we show people how they can implement this strategy. That's what's really powerful about this is that even if you've heard about this, how do you do it? And so what we did is we actually built a way that it's done for you. We do this for our members. We just put it in place. We give them some education, but we give them access to how this really works. And so that is what's so powerful about, and what I love doing is I love sharing this kind of stuff, but then also saying, hey, if you want to do this, I got the guy. I just go talk to him and we can do this, make it work. So that is what we do. Another question I get quite a bit is, why have I not heard about Elevation Banking? Great question, because I thought the same thing. Why have I not heard about this? Now, a lot of people have actually heard about it. A lot of people have heard about this, but here's the thing though. It's partly because 99% of financial planners have no idea how this works. And believe me, I know this from firsthand experience, because the first advisor I had, he kind of knew how this worked and he set one up for me. Complete disaster because he didn't know what he was doing. He could sell it, but he had no idea how to set it up. And it was crazy. It was actually pretty simple to do it. He just didn't know what he was doing. So I learned firsthand is that you have to find those that really know how to do this. And they're out there, and they're our partners. So you got to find those individuals. And then traditionally, the goal of a traditional financial planner is to sell you insurance and investments that make them boatloads of money through commissions, right? They want to sell you their stuff that's going to benefit them, not you, really. And so I learned that also the hard way. And so that is not what we do here at EVG. We actually go to the right people who know how to do this kind of stuff. All right. Also, Wall Street and the IRS, they do not benefit from this strategy. So think about that. The IRS, what's their job to do? To get money for the government, right? And this strategy does not benefit them. Wall Street, this does not use Wall Street, so they don't really want us talking about it. And so actually, the marketing and talking about the strategy is limited. There's restriction placed on how you can talk about it because they don't want people knowing about this. It's actually pretty crazy, but when you know how it works, man, it's a game changer. Now, of course, you can do the research. You can do this. You can go out there and find this stuff on your own. I did that. That's how I did it, right? It took years to figure this stuff out. But setting up the accounts is not easy. You have to have the right person. The people licensed to put these things together, they typically are not going to work with you to do this strategy. So that's one thing I learned is that those who know how to set up the policies, they might not do it for you. You have to find ones that this is what they do. This is their focus, is this one. And you have to find that kind of that information out there. There's a lot of misinformation about this strategy out there. And as I said, most financial advisors don't know about elevator banking. I've come across agents, that you can call them, that didn't even know this was possible. I'm like, how is it possible that you don't know it's possible? But it was incredible. So I found these kind of individuals that actually know how to do it. And that's what really changed everything for me. And then, of course, you can go look on the web. There's information scattered everywhere out there. It's a mess out there. And then what you can find, there's a lot of contradictory information about it. People are saying a lot of false things about it, of course. It's difficult to find that trusted go-to source that can guide you through how it works. And it can get very confusing, very tedious, very fast. That's exactly what I experienced. So that's some of the things about why you may not have heard about this strategy out there. So let me see if there's any questions here really quickly. Yeah, I'm going to get into some of these things. Howard, age limitations? No, there's really not. I mean, obviously it becomes more difficult the older you are. Is there a guarantee on the money we deposit? How frequently we can take it out? That's all, Tushar, that's depends on some different factors, but there is a guarantee on the money you deposit. Yes, there is. You can take it out as often as you want. It's as often as you want, just as much as inside there. And then the rate of return varies depending on the market. So usually it's going to be anywhere from 4 to 5% typically. And then when you combine it with other strategies, it grows from there. So I mean, I've been able to hit multiple double digits many times because I combine it with other strategies. Skip, you don't have to have a job. I mean, obviously you want to have some source of revenue to put towards it, of course. And then Tien said interest on the loan. It's a simple. So you're earning compound, pay simple. So if you guys are when it comes to investing, obviously you always want to earn compound, pay simple. That's what this does. No, it does not. Someone says it doesn't add up quickly. Yeah, it doesn't add up quickly, but it depends on what you want to do. So I started small and then built from there. So that's kind of what I did. All right. So how many people feel a little overwhelmed by this right now, about what we just covered? Because I know this is kind of a lot of information pretty fast. I went through a lot of details that normally you might not hear about this. So if you feel overwhelmed, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Because here at EVG, we do make it simple because we do this for people. We do it for you. That's what this is all about. So I'm going to kind of cover now, because we covered the strategy. So obviously there's a lot going on here. And so what I'm going to be doing right now is talking about what we actually do here at EVG. Yes, Vicky, it's the money is safe inside there. Julie, there's no tax implications. I'll cover that question at the end. I'll cover that at the end and say Phil the same thing as well. And then Julie, I'll cover that question at the end. So Julie, elevation banking is what we call the strategy. The elevation group is our business. That's our business. So it's kind of the same kind of name. Dinakar, it's an annuity is a very different product for a very different reason. It sounds similar maybe to you, but it's not the same. It's very different. Yes, there are financial advisors who do the strategy, Steve, for sure. They're my friends and some of our advisors. That's who they are. And they feel like it's for U.S. and Canada residents or people doing business here. And then the dividend depends on the profitability of the business, but it's anywhere from 1 to 4% per year. There's companies that have paid dividends in the Great Depression, in 2008, they still pay dividends. So imagine getting dividends during the huge market crash. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. So Amanda, I'll cover that one here in a little bit as well. So yeah, there's a lot of good questions here. I'm going to make sure I cover all these. Don't worry, everybody. So what I want to do right now is just share with you, because this strategy is just one of the things that we do here at EVG. It's just one of the things, because what I have found in my journey to building wealth, and I believe a lot of people that have done the same thing, or people on this call will agree, it's not one thing. It's a formula. If you're doing day trading, it's what do you do with that? How are you going to scale that? And then how are you going to leverage that into other things? That's really how you build wealth. So this strategy is like one thing that we do. So let's say you're day trading and you leverage this strategy to put the capital to work for you so that it's giving guaranteed returns passively, and you go and buy another asset with it. So this is one thing we do. At EVG, we cover a lot of things. We do a lot of different strategies. So I want to share with you some of the other things that we do for our members and what our members have access to. So what our membership is called the EVG Elite Insiders Club. And what we do here is we show people how to invest like the super rich, like the ultra rich. We've been doing that since 2010. We've been showing people how to invest and build wealth by following the strategies of successful investors. So here's what our members get when you're on the inside. So first off, our first course is called the Black Box Billionaire. Now this is our foundational training membership called the Black Box course. And this is a 7-week or 7-module course that every member goes through, because here at EVG, we do speak a different financial language than your average mainstream person. So all of our members go through this so that we can all get on the same page, so to speak, and talk about and talk the same language about financial literacy. So it's really important that we go through this, and I'll show you what's inside this module really quickly. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, so don't worry about it. So what do you get inside there? So once again, the Black Box Billionaire is a 7-module online course, and it covers what we call the 7 elements of wealth. It plugs you into what we call the Good Old Boys Club to replace your income, and we usually set the goal for about 3 years to do that. This is inside information. It truly is inside information as to what is really going on behind the scenes when it comes to the economy, the markets, and building wealth. We talk about how to build or how to make money and invest with the best before, during, and after the great crash of 2020. And by the way, I've been saying the great crash is going to be 2020. I've been saying that for over a year right now, and unfortunately, we're in it right now, but there's a lot of opportunities as well. We have step-by-step instructions for actually how to do the private banking, which we just talked about here in this presentation. And so we do that for new members. So new members only today, we actually do this. It's a concierge service. We set it up for you, hands off. You don't have to worry about it. It's very cool. We have videos, worksheets, templates, swipe files to cut your success by years. Now, here's what's really cool about what we do. The lessons are taught by genuinely wealthy people. This is how the super rich got rich, by the way. They got access to the experts that the average person does not even know about. So imagine having access to wealth experts to learn directly from them, from their strategies. But this is designed to change you, to change your life, but really it's designed to change your finances. So here's the 7 modules. So week 1 is all-seeing eye paradigm, where we actually make that shift in your mind about how to build wealth. Week 2 is module 2 that you can jump around. These are not in any specific order that you have to go through. The EVG cash overflow formula is how to build cash and get cash flow coming in. The last crash war chest is where you actually put that money to work. 4 is actually the bank review elevation banking. It's a full course on what we just talked about to really walk you through how it works. 5 is the financial malware solution, which is all about asset protection and financial protection so that you can keep your money that you're making. Infinite income is actually how to create passive income. And then legacy is how to make sure that your wealth lasts. So that is our Black Box digital course. We also have the EVG board of advisors. Now, what I've gone ahead and done is put together experts. Now, these are my friends. These are people that I invest with. These are my advisors. Now, this is like the Avengers, but the business version of that, right? Of the Avengers. And these are phenomenal people. And they've got over 300 years and over $2 billion worth of experience. And so you're in the best hands possible. Now, what is really cool is that we're always adding new experts, new people. Every month we're adding new people to this. And so as the markets change and as everything changes, we evolve as well. And then as a member, if you want to work with an advisor, all you do is let us know, and we make a personal introduction on your behalf. So imagine having access to any of these people. You want to talk to them? Let us know. We make the introduction. So that is how it works. All right. And so there it is right there, Black Book, we call it. And all you got to do is reach inside there, say who you want to talk to. We put you in touch. As an example, this is one of the members I mentioned before, Jordan. He used one connection, $40,000 wealthier, and even started another business as well, just from one connection inside that strategy. Or inside the Black Book. So it's very, very powerful to have access to that. We call that our EVG Board of Advisors. All our members have access to it. We also do something pretty fun. It's called the EVG Huddle Up. Now, we do this about once a month where we actually hop on a call with one of our expert faculty, one of these individuals, And we talk about what they're doing, their strategies, what they're doing right now. We had a call a couple weeks ago with RJ. RJ is a real estate guy. Man, it was a fun call. Our members had a blast on that, learning what he's doing right now in real estate to actually invest. Very, very cool. And so if you have questions, all you got to do is ask these members or these advisors on these live calls. And we do these once again about once, maybe twice a month, depending on what's going on. And it's very cool. You'll learn a lot. They're a lot of fun. Nothing is being sold on these things. It's not pitching. It's just literally asking questions and learning what they're doing. And so as you see what we're doing, you can do the exact same thing, follow in our footsteps. That's how this works. And as an example, like one of our members, I mean, I'm not going to read this whole thing right there, but Dr. Perry had no idea about how to invest, became a member of EVG, started the Bank of You, freed up his IRA, made some investments, repaired his damaged credit score, and now he's starting his own home business. I mean, all that kind of stuff just from access to these advisors. Very cool stuff. He's, as he says right there, I'm now on the right path. So I love those kind of things. I love helping people do these things. So that is our huddle up. We also have the EVG Genius Network. And so what we've done is, so we actually hop on these live calls sometimes once a month with our members, and it's just members talking to members, asking questions, sort of like a live group call where we talk about, hey, I have an obstacle here. Hey, Brian, what are you doing here? Or maybe I share something that I'm doing. It's a lot of fun. We call that our EVG Genius Network. And we also have a live Facebook group, private group, where we all talk about things. I give updates, do some training on there. It's a lot of fun. And essentially, you're in a community. And when you're part of a community like this, incredible things happen. And we have members that work with members, that talk to members, that partner with members. It is a lot of fun. So that is our EV Genius Network. And then we have some calculators and tools, because one thing I didn't have when I was building my wealth and journey, I didn't have any tools to use to build wealth. And so when I through the elevation group, I went ahead and put together a lot of calculators and tools that you can use to run numbers so that you can see how your investments are working and how you're building wealth. Because when you see it happening and you have it like there, it is so fun. And so these are really cool. They produce professional reports as well that you can use. So that is a tool that we have for our members inside there that you get access to. We also include our 1% Quick Start Kit. This is a real estate course. If you want to invest in real estate, this is something that we give to our members. We sold this before, but we want to include it here as a bonus, because real estate is going to be coming up here very soon. And we have members that are jumping inside this right now to learn the next strategy that's going to come up. And so this course is inside there as well. That's called our 1% Quick Start Kit. We also are including a crypto craze course, which is how to get started in cryptocurrency. This is a basic course for those that want to get into it, because with things that are going in the economy right now, who knows what's going to happen in crypto, right? As an example. So we have that inside there. And then we have, this is very cool. So this is our special ops. And I want to make sure you guys understand what this is. Imagine having access to deals, investment opportunities that will pay you out 5, 10, 15% a year or 5% a month. We have investment opportunities for our members where they can put capital into things that are going to produce 3% per month in return on investments. Because we do get a lot of deal flow here at EVG. And so from our members, even from our members. And so if an opportunity fits with what we do at EVG, I present it to you, and then you can make a decision on whether it fits with what you want to do to build wealth. And so this is cool. Members love this. You're going to get access to investment opportunities that the average person does not even know exist. It's a lot of fun. Our members love this kind of access. And so as an example, here's one of our members, Dave. I sent out one email for him, and he got a 6-figure investor from our group for his business. His business that is doing multiple 7 figures a year in revenue. He got a little investor from our group, and they're both happy right now because they're both making money, and he's getting a good return, and his business is thriving right now in this current economy. So this is what we do for our members. A lot of fun stuff. And then we have what is called the EVG Instant Income Machine, which we show people how to create passive income by just sharing our mission, sharing our journey. So a lot of people, this is one of the favorite things of our members. They come in here, they grab this information, and they go out and they share kind of what we do, and they can generate income from it. So that is what we do inside the EVG Elite Insiders Club. A lot of fun stuff. The black book right there. We have the EVG Board of Advisors, which, I mean, imagine having access to these individuals. It's incredible. We do the group coaching with advisors where you're on the call with them, learning their strategies. You have the Genius Network. You have the calculators. You have the 1% Quick Start Kit, which is the real estate crypto craze course right there, special ops, deal flow, and the EVG Instant Income Machine. And we have testimonials. I'm not going to go through all these. You don't need to. I'm not going to listen to all those. We have lots of testimonials, put it that way. I know we're getting close, and I want to answer you guys' questions, so I'm not going to go through all of those things right now. But right now, it's $997 a year. That's it right there. It's $997 a year, or 3 payments of $397 to get access to all of that. And I think even there's probably another bonus that I didn't even include in the slides that you have access to when you sign up. And you can go to the Elevation Group, elevationgroup.com/EMC right there, and sign up. And you get instant access to everything that I had inside there. And, you get all the live calls, we have recorded inside there. And then, of course, Elevation Banking will set that up for you as well. And that's just a little bit of what we do there. And I'd love to have you guys on the inside and, share kind of what we do, because I love this mission. I love the journey I'm on. I've been on it for years, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. And I love sharing what I'm doing. And so, especially right now with going on in the economy, I know a lot of people are freaking out and scared about what's going on, yet we're bringing on advisors that are excited, that are doing a lot of fun things. And so we're sharing what they're doing, and you can jump inside there and see what they're doing. So once again, you can go to theelevationgroup.com/EMC right there. And, or you can do a 3-payment as well. And there's a PayPal option as well inside there as well. So now I'm going to go through and answer some questions. So Amanda said, I've heard about this strategy before, but isn't there an initial upfront lump sum cost for the policy? No, there's not. Nope. There's no cost to start it. You can just start, you can do monthly, you can do quarterly, you can do annual, you can do lump sum, but you don't have to. So yeah, you don't have to do that. Yes, JC, you're correct. The annual return, it varies, 3 to 4, 5, 6%, depends on what you get when you sign up. It's always going to be different. And then you can take out what you put in. Is that, yes, exactly. And then can we take out the whole amount after 10 to 12, 20 years? Well, so yeah, you can. You can take out the cash value whenever you want, and you don't have to pay it back. So that's how when you fund this and build it up over time, in the future, this is like a tax-free retirement. You can just take the money back out, tax-free, and that's your retirement policy right there. So it's tax-free. So I know a lot of people are doing that right now. So yeah, you can do that. Yeah, and Haley, yeah, we do go, yeah, in an hour I can only cover so much on here. Otherwise everybody's going to get, googly-eyed on this whole thing. So yeah. Abby, do you use IRA or 401k money? You can. Typically when you have money in a 401k, it's locked in there. And that's why I'm not a big proponent of 401ks a lot of times, because it's locked in there and you can't control it. Same with an IRA, but yes, there are ways, and our advisors do work with people on how they can leverage those things a little bit more, mainly on the IRA side of stuff. But yeah, you can. It's kind of, an annuity is a very different product. An annuity is a very different product, although it can complement. There's no fees though. There's no fees for this strategy. It's just whatever you set it up, and it's different for everybody. The thing about this strategy that I want to note on, because that's a great question right there, this is different for everybody. It's not the same. And so like when you go to a financial planner, they're going to give you their cookie cutter thing for you, right? But the cool thing about this thing is that you can build it however you want. You want it for retirement. You want to set up your kids. Oh yeah, for your kids. I'll talk about it here in a moment. This thing is so versatile. It is incredible. So it's like 9 out of 10 people that go into this use it, that learn about it. 9 out of 10 people that see this use it when they go through our system, because it is that powerful. So imagine this. You can use this on your kids to set them up for life. So if you have kids like I do, I have 3 young kids, little animals, they are. But when you set this up for kids, it's very cheap. Yet when they are like in their early 20s or 20, 18 going to college, they're going to have a bank, their own bank that's in their name that they can use to pay for college. They can use to pay for their first house or car. And they're going to have a 7-figure guaranteed retirement in the future. And yet it's going to cost you pennies on the dollar pretty much to do that for them. And so 5 out of 10 people that do this strategy set it up for their kids. When you learn how this works for kids and what you can do for their future and set them up for massive success, it'll blow you away. So if you have kids, I implore you to learn how this works, because it'll change the way you think about money and wealth, especially when it comes to your kids. And so every successful, wealthy investor that I know has this on their kids, every single one, because it just makes so much sense. If my parents had done this for me, I'd have a multiple, actually 8-figure retirement guarantee. If they'd done this when I was, when I was a kid. They didn't know about it though, of course. So yes. So JP, Pete, I'll give you my information. Actually, I'll do it right now. So there it is right there. So yeah, once again, guys, you go to theelevationgroup.com/EMC right there, $997 a year or $397 right there. Very simple. That's my information, my personal information. That is my personal email address. It does come to me personally. That phone number is that there's an extension that goes to me as well. So JP, I'd ask you to reach out to me. Because that's a question that I need to answer differently. I can't really answer it specifically on here without knowing some more information that would not be appropriate to ask here. Peter says, do you have to be a U.S. citizen? No, not specifically. You have to have, if you're not, or you can be Canadian too, you have to be doing business in the U.S., have an entity here in the U.S., and then you can do this. So we have people that are doing this right now. They're actually getting them set up. And they're traders, by the way. They're people that are doing trading stuff because it's something that we do. They're setting up entities in the U.S., and they're going to do that for trading and for this as well. So, yes. So Julie says, so if you start up and only have 500 in the account, but the vacation costs 1,000. So Julie, you have to fund it first. Yes, you have to fund it first to take the money back out. Yeah, someone said, is David Morgan the silver guru? Yeah, that is David Morgan. Yes, that was him there. Yeah. Vasila said, is EVG Dillard? Yes, it is. The 3 payments is once a month. Yes, it is, Howard. It's just for 3 months, not every month, but just 3. Yes. So JP, where am I at right now? So yeah, I have one advisor that puts $250,000 a year into the strategy. Me, I don't put that kind of capital towards it. We put a couple $1,000 into it, depending on who it could be. We have multiple ones of them, and so I mean, there's some I'm putting $100 into, some are putting in a couple thousand into. It just varies, but you can have more than one. I know one of our members has 7 of these policies in place for different reasons because they have them set up for the kids, for business, for personal reasons. They're very versatile. So, Abby, I can put you in touch with an advisor that can answer, that can dive into that a little bit more about the 401k and IRA funded. Are there other services out there like yours with the same name? There are other people that do this, different names of the strategy. We have probably one of the most comprehensive educational pieces on this that most people don't do what we do as far as, because this is just one thing we do. This is just one thing, by the way. And so there's other things that we do that complement this strategy. So just FYI, is this a yearly price? It is, Krishna, it is a yearly price. We do have a lifetime option as well that you'll see there as well. Who gets the loan interest? Great question right there. Who gets the loan? So when you take money from your bank, traditionally, when you take money from a bank and you pay the interest back, who gets the interest? Well, the bank does, right? They're making money off of your money. So when you deposit money to a bank, a traditional bank, all they do is turn around, take your money, and loan it back out and charge interest. They're making money off your money, which is crazy to me. So in this situation, it's your capital is the collateral. When you borrow and pay it back, the interest goes to the insurance company, which is a mutual company, which makes them profitable. And profits are paid to the shareholders, which is you, in the form of dividends. So you're getting your interest back in the form of dividends, essentially. So that's why it's so cool, because the more people that use the loans, the larger the dividends are. So it's a pretty cool little process right there. There are no penalties to withdraw, JP. That doesn't really apply because you can do it through loan. Tushar, Tushar, if you want to have a call about it, let me know. That's my email right there. You can reach out. Rollover IRA, that's an option, Abby. That's what the advisors can walk you through. So if you want to talk to one of them, let me know. I can put you in touch. Will the government catch up with this strategy as more people get into it? So Julie, it's been around for decades. It's been around for a long time. Yes, they know about it. The IRS knows. Everybody at those levels know about it because they're all using it, by the way. They're all using the strategy, which is incredible to me. And so there is one limit on it that's called the MEC, Modified Endowment Contract, which is a limit that says, you cannot overfund this to an exorbitant amount. So that's one thing the IRS has done. And so we talk about that in the strategy, in the course, but that's the only thing. But yeah, and then of course they limit the way that you can actually advertise this. So you can't so a lot of people can't advertise about it. So big corporations can't do it, advertise about it. So that's kind of something how they limit it. But yeah, they know about it. And by the way, so it's been around this strategy. If you want to know why it even exists, this is kind of a side tangent here. It exists because of farmers. So think 100 years ago, farmers, mainly in the US, of course, have needs for 2 things: insurance because of a loss of crop and stuff, and capital, cash, because they have to have long periods of time or they have no income. Because of those 2 things, this strategy was born years ago. I mean, you're talking a long time ago. That's where it was sort of born. And then of course it's evolved a little bit over time, but that's kind of how it got started. So a little side story right there. How much money do you have to deposit that goes towards it? So Russell, it varies, but I would say about 75 to 85%. And then eventually over time, then the amount that you put in is actually less than the cash value. So it grows because this compound. So think of the hockey stick. This does that. So it's not a short-term thing, but yes, it'll get more and more and more. Where does the cash in the account go when the owner dies? So great question, Clem. So the way this works is there are 3 people involved. You have the owner of the policy, you have the beneficiary, and you have the contract owner, or the insured. So there's 3 people involved. So whoever your beneficiary is. So that's how you create generational wealth. So by the way, wealthy families use this strategy to create generational wealth beyond anything you can comprehend. So imagine this, big families, talk about like the Rockefellers, those kind of people. They use this strategy to create generational wealth because every single family member has these in place. And they use this. That's how they can actually do incredible things during a down economy without anybody knowing where the cash comes from. It comes from this strategy right here. It'd blow you away if you knew what they were doing, but anybody can do it. And so they're using these big family banks, and then at each generation, the face value, as they call it, goes back to the family and creates more generational wealth. That's how these families have gotten so flippin' wealthy, is through this strategy. And, obviously there's different variations of it, but yes. If there was a default, how do we retrieve our funds? Well, you can just take the cash value out. It's yours. So, Vic, if you're retired, it can help you. It depends on your situation. I don't know your situation, so yes, it can. Z, how does Elevation Group make money? Well, we have a membership platform. That's one way. So, as an African, can I subscribe for it? Yeah, you can become a member. Because remember, this is just, Elevation Banking is just one of the things we do. We have members from UK, Australia, Africa. We have members all over the world. This is just one thing that we talk about, and it's very popular, of course. But I want to share it with you guys here today. And there's a lot of other things we do, though. But this one is one that's gets a lot of interest because it's so powerful. What are the terms per percentages? I think you're saying, and length for using funds against your bank. JC, it depends. There's not one answer to that. It depends on which company you're with. But it's typically, and you can set those things up. Actually, you can set them up when you actually set up a policy, which is really cool. So once again, it is versatile. So there's not a specific set, but on the loan, maybe you're thinking of, it's simple. It's based upon the current prime usually. And so like mine, I think is like 3% right now if I use it. It's not very much. It's pretty awesome. Is this plan fit for the older people also? So most older individuals, because it is an insurance, right? You have to qualify for it. We'll use it on other people. So like a lot of people that are retired will do this on kids or grandkids, and you could still use it for you personally. You can still benefit from it, and you're setting them up for wealth down the road as well. So this is how people pass wealth on as well, but they use it on other people as well. Because and we talk about this inside the membership, and because there's 3 individuals that are all involved. So is this regulated by the government? Not. Insurance is. So insurance is regulated, right? So that part of it is. This strategy is just built inside these kinds of policies that are specific to the US and Canada. So I wouldn't say this is regulated. It's just a structure that's inside these types of contracts. And by the way, this is one of the biggest things about these ones that most people don't know about. But there is some limitations for like the IRS put on it, so that you can't so a billionaire cannot put $1 billion into one of these things, as an example. They kind of said, hey, you can't do that because it doesn't make sense. But that's about it. I'm in Canada. Can I get set up with an advice to create? Yeah. Well, Peter, if you're in Canada, this works. It works there as well as in the US. It's a little bit different, but it works just fine. So we have advisors there. We have advisors in the US. And the cool thing about what we do, though, we have members that have this in place, and then we set them up with it. And then they come back to EVG and say, okay, cool. You got this going on. Now, what do I leverage it into? And then we do that as well. So it's kind of a full circle of what we do here. That's why we do it. HP, yes, I'm looking at the chat right now. There's a lot of questions, so I'm going through it. How can we compare the returns with trading stocks, cryptos, and options? Well, so Tushar, that's an active thing. So if you're actively trading stocks and cryptos, the return you get there is going to be dependent upon your skill set, right? So it depends on that. This one is basically fixed. But when you combine it with other things, you can get more and more and more. James asked, how does it achieve 4 to 6%? Well, insurance companies, first off, they invest in, they're very, very conservative, and they invest in things that, like big, real estate. They invest in land. They invest in secure bonds, all these different things that produce a very solid return long term. They're very good at it. They're very good at it. They've been around for over 100 years. They know what they're doing. Or they loan the money out to you. You pay them back simple interest. They make money that way too. But when they're profitable, they pay dividends back to the owners too. That's just how they function. So very different. Can you trade with the money in the bank? Yes, you can. Why do the gurus and experts get involved? What's their motivation? Well, they're licensed. So they're licensed. So they're going to help set this up. So like you can't just go do this on your own. You have to have an advisor who does this, who knows how to really do it. That's part of it. Sergio asked that question. So that's why they do it. And then for an EVG, a lot of the advisors we have that are talking about other strategies, they know this one too. They all use it. They know about it and they leverage it. So when they talk about, say, real estate, like RJ's talking about it, he's like, oh yeah, I did this one. And then I used my personal bank for this one. You're like, wait a second. You have a bank too? Yep, got a bank. And so they all do this strategy. And so it's kind of cool when they're talking about what they're doing, they're sharing that they're using a lot of other strategies too that we do inside EVG. No, there's not, LG. There's not a separate fee to set up the personal plan over the membership fee. There is not. Someone else said, yeah, you can trade the money in there. What are the percentages and lengths of terms? I think I mentioned that already. There's a lot of questions coming here. So someone said about the dividends. Dividends these are not mutual funds. So these are not mutual funds. So dividends from mutual funds are very different than this. So this is just dividends from because it's a mutual fund, mutual company. I'm sorry, not mutual. It's a mutual company, not a mutual fund. So a mutual company pays dividends when they're profitable. So this is not mutual funds. So Julie says that $250,000 is not an exorbitant amount. Not for that individual, no. So that individual has a level of wealth that is very high that allows him to do that amount of money, as an example. So yeah, for him, it's not exorbitant. And for the way that he structures his account, it's not exorbitant. So it's based upon your personal wealth. So as an example. The 770 plan, I'm going to say no on that one. I'd have to go back and look that one up, but no, I'm pretty sure it's not. You're welcome, Enrico. No worries. So years ago, I'd heard about a similar product in Canada where you deposit for several years, and then when you retire, you borrow against it, the insurance policy, and then when you die, it gets paid out. Yes, correct. That's what it is. Yeah, in Canada, it works the same way. The maximum amount to invest is based upon you. So like my amount I can invest is going to be different than my neighbor, as an example. So it's based upon you. So this is not a specific cookie cutter thing. It's based upon you, and that's what to me is so beautiful about this is that what's really cool is that it's based upon what you want to do. So it's however you want to do it. It's based upon kind of your life and what you want to accomplish. So like if you want to use this for retirement, is different than if you want to use it for investing. But I recommend both actually, but it's different. So it's a good question, JP. Do you work as a broker? Gabby, no, I don't. I'm actually licensed because I wanted to know more about it, but I don't write the policies. I don't do that. I'm about sharing the education and sharing the journey about this. And then we have the network that we plugged into and our board of advisors that do these things for us. So just as an FYI. Yeah, these are insured. So different, Ron, great question about insured, different companies, different insurance. Yes, they are. Matt Hamida, I hope I'm saying your name right. Is it a fixed interest like CD? Yes, it can be. There's different types of this, but the one that we're talking about, which was dividend paying permanent whole life, is fixed. But there's other ones that can be variable if you want to do those as well. But typically, I like the ones that are fixed because I want to know how much it's going to be in the future, guaranteed. I love the guaranteed part of this thing. It's awesome to know how much money you're going to have in the future. JP, if you want to know the names of the companies, there's about 6 or 7 that we normally use. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can tell you what they are if you want to know who they are. How many members do you have? Julie, we have 7,000, 6,000 members. So we have a lot of members, and thousands of them are using this. Thousands are using this strategy. So SG, yes, you're right. Is this permanent whole life insurance? Yes. Can you trade with the cash? Yeah, I covered that one. Can you give a specific example of a rider and what might be included in it to add to the individual? It depends. I mean, so Scott, that's a great question, but it depends on what you want to accomplish. So there's ones called a maximum cash value rider. There's different names for it, but it allows you to max it. What it does is it minimizes what is called face value and maximizes cash value. probably the most important one right there, Ryder. But it actually flips it so that when you put capital into it, it doesn't maximize the face value, which, by the way, most traditional agents will do that, which sucks. This minimizes that and increases the cash value, which is awesome. So,
hey, Brian, I just wanted to pop in and say we've got time for a couple more questions.
Sure. So Sergio asked about, is the 1,000 for the insurance strategy? It's everything. So Sergio, you get everything. So the membership gets you access to everything I just talked about in this, as well as everything else inside of our membership, which you don't have to access all of that, but it gets access to everything. Green Monsters. Okay, I'll do that. Boris, no, you don't typically get a debit card from that. And JP, we typically don't pay bills from this because that's a daily transactional thing. That's not an investment. And so this is typically for building wealth, and paying bills is not about building wealth, in my opinion. Tax loop. Why do board advisors get involved? They have services. They're friends of mine. I'm in masterminds. These are my personal advisors. And when you're at that level, you like to share what you're doing. You like to help other people. That's the bottom line. That's just why they do that. You call this a bank, but is it really a bank? So John, it's yeah. When you look at how it functions, when you understand how it works, it's like a bank. Now, not a traditional bank where you're paying bills and stuff like that and writing it, checks stuff. But this acts like a bank because a bank does, you put your money to it. It does loans and stuff like that. That's how it acts as a bank. So, all right, guys.
Great.
Right there.
Fascinating session, Brian.
Brian, thank you
Fascinating.
so much for taking us home.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have any questions?
We'll take that on the side. What? We appreciate you spending this afternoon with us, and you got the last hour of the last day, but I felt like you held your own, and we had a lot of comments and questions, and that's when people are really listening, when they get engaged.
Oh, yeah.
So
and I could talk about this strategy for hours and stuff, but I know because it gets kind of a little overwhelming. But it's just such an amazing product, and it's such an amazing opportunity to learn about this kind of stuff. And I love sharing this stuff because, man, I've seen this change so many people's lives, and it's so cool when you see that, and that people just realize, man, I have just changed my future. My financial future has completely changed. My kids' lives have changed. And that's really where it comes from me is just sharing those kinds of opportunities with people. So,
and so many people don't know those opportunities exist. They just don't. And,
right.
We've all in some time of our life, worked for the man or the grind. And then when you find this other path, it's like, it's life-changing. So I get it. I appreciate it.
Why didn't I know about this earlier, right?
I know.
Well, that's one of the things people are saying, well, I wish I would know about this earlier and stuff.
Never too late. That's what I always say. It's never too late to make a change.
100%.
All right, Brian. Well, we're gonna go ahead and take the power back from you, and